It's the 1st of October, 2022. Apologies, abandoning the last stream. I wasn't too sure how to set the thumbnail, and I've managed to reset the thumbnail with the thumb from Brandon Corey Nagley's last video, which was a shot that came in from the from a Skycam, and in Germany. I thought it was quite an interesting shot. And we're gonna talk about that all later. And I've got my little doggy here, who's very excited. I'm on the boats. I'm just doing boats. I'm desperately trying to get them ready and that sort of stuff, and to try and do something with it, to try and get on top of everything, to try and find a way to make a bit of an income out of all of this as well, and everything else like that, because I'm absolutely broke right now. My computer's just packed up. Just going to wipe the lens. Maybe a little bit clearer. Yeah, apologies about that. A bit of confusion there. But I've even got a selfie stick. I feel like Max Egan or Dollar Vigilante kind of going out, and I'm going out with Shanti. Although I haven't got the little twisty thing that Max and well, I haven't got the little twisty thing, so I'm having to awkwardly twist things around a little bit, which must make it a little bit weird. But anyway, never mind. Onwards and upwards. I hope you don't mind the camera being upright. I don't think this thing holds it. Okay. People get upset when the dog barks at me crazy. So we're going to go for a little wander and talk about the world, the universe, and everything on this rather spectacular day. Look, there's the remains of the floor of Gracie May, who's looking in a right old state, but she's actually getting there. She's starting to come together now. You can see I've just put new floor in this one here, so it's getting there in the wheelhouse. And but it is chaos, I must admit, it really is chaos. But anyway, let's get out of here. Let's take Doggy for a little walk, and let's all go for a little wander and talk about the world, the universe, and everything. There she is. You can just see inside here. Come on, Shanti, come on in. We might not get such a good signal in here, but we might be able to have a little pop in. And you can see we've got a new ceiling in here. It's all I've just done the knots inside here, and put the new ceiling up, and we've got the electric in, we've got the solar panels up, we've got so much stuff done. The holes are good now, everything's kind of like, most of the electrics are in. Still got a lot of work to do in the wheelhouse here, but anyway, less of that and more of what's happening. Oh my goodness me, what a crazy time we're in. Let me just prepare myself a little bit. Close that up too. What a lovely day. So how is everybody out there? How's the big wide world out there? How are you faring with all the stuff that's going on and everything else? See where I am today? I am in Bath. Come on, Shanti. Bath. Can you see the Bath Abbey there? You don't really get a very good view of it, really, but what an epic day it is out there today. We've had terrible storms here. Well, it's not terrible, but apparently in Scotland it's been really, really terrible. But of course, all the attention at the moment is in some Panhandle, Storm Ian, and my heart goes out to everyone who's lost their homes. Come on, Shanti. Shanti, come here. Okay, so it looks like we're back online again. We're going to come and go over a little bit as we wander around and we go between networks, but hopefully overall should get me, and I will hopefully I'll stop talking when we lose signal. Shanti, come here, come here, come here. Sit. Got the doggy on a lead. Ooh. So it's a bright fresh morning here. The storms, like I say, are all coming in Scotland and probably going to be coming in later, as this is a mega storm really, and this is probably the kind of like the tailing aspects of the outer kind of like the very outer perimeters of Storm Ian swirling around the Atlantic and bringing storms in, in the top of Scotland and coming down through Ireland and central England a little bit, but we've got kind of clear weather here. But well, we've got a few comments there. I've got a bit of slightly stronger glasses on, but I'm afraid I still can't read them all. But I will definitely have a good read later as they pop up. And but thank you so much for joining me right now. We're going to take the doggy up to the canal for a little walk, and I thought we could discuss the world, the universe, and everything. And it's been a very, very peculiar time. It's been a very peculiar time, and I thought I'd start with telling you about the most, as well as kind of talking about Brandon Corey Nagley's shot that he posted, I believe, on the 23rd of September. And we were expecting to see that. That's the next object coming in. And there's another channel that's come out that's showing how Jupiter and Saturn are massive and right next to each other, and it's seen with really quite a small telescope by the looks of it. I think it's called Duke Nukemer, something like that. Duke Nukemer, he's an astronomer. He's got the most amazing shots of Jupiter and Saturn. Now, isn't it interesting that while we see Jupiter and Saturn, we've also got directly beyond us also Neptune. And about to say Faidila when I heard the Hong Kong voices there. Did you hear that? They kind of like that was distinctly it wasn't Cantonese, that was distinctly, oh no, that wasn't Mandarin, that was distinctly Cantonese, wasn't it? How they speak much more in the front of their mouths rather than I can't really speak Chinese. I used to study it for a little bit. I'm gonna risk it for a biscuit with this crazy junction. Hold on a second, I can let the dog off the lead because she's taking me for a walk at the moment. Hold on. Okay, sit. Got it. Now she can run and be free. And we're going to walk up to the canal and then up the hill, and I'll show you in the background a little bit of Bath as we go up, because that's where I am at the moment. And so isn't it interesting that we've got Jupiter right there, and then directly beyond Jupiter we've got Neptune. Now remember that Neptune has got a 2 times 84 orbit, remembering that Uranus has got 1 times 84, as in 84 years, and Neptune's got 2, and obviously Pluto's got 3 times 84. So isn't it interesting that all of these planets now are all very in close proximity as we come back round to our big cosmic clock, where we like to invent a new dwarf planet every 84 years. And now, of course, scientists, they're realizing that with all this modern astronomical technology that we're all accessing now, and all this technology that is enabling us to see and try and run these models, you'll notice that any model that they put into Universe Sandbox always has the sun static, because no one can make the current model work with a moving sun, because the current model is total bullshit. Even the fact that all of these satellites that they sent out beyond Mars to Jupiter and beyond have all supposedly bombed straight through the asteroid belt with absolutely no consequence at all, to get these wonderful shots of these grand deceptions where we keep inventing this dwarf planet. And you'll notice that all these shots of Jupiter are showing a blue planet. Surprise, surprise. And you'll notice that it's all being seen, all the shots of Jupiter are being seen with 3 other planets. And of course we assume that those 3 dots, thank you, you'll notice that these 3 dots, there's the top canal, there's the top lock. That's not the really scary one. I've taken you through the really scary one before, haven't I? There you go, all the way down. Look, you get a much better view than I do. Hello, little fella. Hello, beautiful. Look at this. We've got a little friend here. I feel like the dollar vigilante taking the doggy for a walk. Come on. Come on, Shanty. I know she wants to dive in the water. I've got a special little diving place she can go in, but we won't take her now. We'll go up. Shanty, come in. Come here. Come here. I've just got a bit of a road coming up here. But I want her to heel. Heel, Shanti. Come here. Come here. Heel. She's going to get her to heel. So we might change the signal. Come here. Come here. Go on in. And now we're into the park. Look at that. That's where we're going, up into the parks up there. You can just see the park in the distance up there, and doggies running up ahead, having all the fun in the world. Now the reason I'm doing a go live right now and not using my computer is because my computer packed up yesterday. I don't know how many videos I've made on it, but it packed up, so I've ordered all the components. I've worked out the components that have packed up in my MacBook Pro, and I've ordered them all last night, and hopefully they're going to come in the next few days, and I'm going to rip it apart, resync the processor, because it's just really slow now, and now the power adapter's gone, and the connector in the computer, the power adapter, whatever they call it, the MagSafe connector in the computer is also packed up. It's all burnt out, so I've got a bit of work there. But actually, for everything, it was about 50 quid for everything. Power adapter, the plug that the power adapter plugs into, the speakers, which have also gone, and the heat sinks. I tried cleaning out the fans yesterday to try and make it go a bit faster, but anyway, I digress. Here we are. Look at this one lovely view up here. This is where we are. Can you see that? This is the top of the world, top of Bath anyway. And there's that lovely sky up there. What's going on up there? Oh, there's some big stuff going on up there. We know that. We're seeing all the seismology. You know, when we saw the big, all the big run of earthquakes that came up with the last full moon, and then we saw the big earthquake in Chile, a part of me was thinking, maybe it's past. But the other part of me was said, no, this is too early to tell, because we suddenly saw all the earthquake in Chile. And I was hoping that was it and it was out of the way, but then of course Brandon showed me that shot, the shot that I'm expecting to come in. And we normally see that shot when it's going out rather than when it's coming in. We've seen it so many times around the kind of like July, August time. We've seen it many other times. You know, when an object comes towards us from the sun, which this object's not doing. When it comes towards us from the sun, we really struggle to see it unless it moves into the northern or southern aspects of the solar system. And then we get these wonderful shots of it. Like we did the first shot. Do you remember the first shot that I brought into my models? The one that occurred on I think it was on the 26th of August 2011. And what was interesting about that video was it was seen from New Zealand. And 2 weeks prior to that, the same shot occurred. We just had a little blip there. When my mum died on the 20th of July 2020, we saw it from the northern hemisphere. It wasn't the same object, it wasn't one of the pair, but nonetheless these objects were coming in from the northern aspect. And so it's true of these twins. They came in from the north and they plunged down into the southern aspect of the solar system at the last phase before they begin their circle around what they really orbit. And I've shown you so many fantastic shots of that, but isn't it interesting how we've seen it come from the southern aspect of our solar system with those 2011, and then they've got bigger and bigger and bigger into about 2017, 2018, and then this year we didn't see it from England, from the southern aspect of England. We saw it from Sweden. So now we're seeing it right from the northern aspect. So we know, as I discussed in my last video, that it's our planet and our Jupiter, not Saturn. And finally we can put Saturn into this situation. Notice there's no Saturn in my model. And that's because I couldn't define or decide whether Saturn was orbiting the big object our Sun orbits, or whether Saturn was orbiting the object that this blue Caccina is orbiting, that these twin-tailed objects are orbiting. Now you'll notice that the first time we discovered Saturn's moons was Galileo in 1610, and then he saw Jupiter's moon in 1613. When was the next time we saw Jupiter's moons massive, when it was all quite astir? It was in the time of Neptune, when Neptune was discovered in 1846. And that's obviously when we came up with the Doppler effect. You know, we said that, you know, objects moving forward, further or away from the sun had a blue sheen or a red sheen, depending on whether they're coming or going, and the way in which the light reacted and the way we sort of like saw the frequencies of light. Total bullshit, of course, but you're seeing Jupiter blue now, so it's very convenient. Doppler effect, blah blah blah. You heard it before. Do you remember in 2018, Jupiter absolutely massive? Why is Jupiter so absolutely massive and blue? Oh, well, it looks like it's almost there. That's the Doppler effect. To the very stupid person, you'd think it was right there. But if you're not stupid and you believe the scientists, you'd know it's a really long way away and it's just the Doppler effect. Playing with your silly minds. But don't be fooled by stupidness. It's a long way away. And clearly it's not a long way away. Clearly you can see the moons of Jupiter, just like Galileo saw the moons of Jupiter in 1600. In 1613. So we go back to 1846 and we remember that you add 84 years to 1846. Remember that Neptune has an orbit of 2 times 84. Pluto has an orbit of 3 times 84. You know, so we can see why they're all syncing up and all coming together, because none of it is really what you've been told. All of it is a massive deception to keep you in a lie, in a deception, in a grand deception, so you don't know your place in the universe. And what's very interesting is that, come on Shanti, Shanti! What's very interesting is I had a very lovely chap come and visit me, and a friend of mine brought him over, and he's named after one of our grand deceptions. I won't say which one because I don't want to mention his name until I've got his permissions to discuss him, and I might, if I can, get him to come on and do an interview, because he blew me away. He utterly blew me away the other day. He turned up a week before the Queen died, and he listened to my model. He was very curious about what I had to say and everything else like that. And then he told me that he was what he calls a renouncee. And I know this sounds a bit over the top, but you understand that my parents both channeled. You know, my mother originally channeled White Cloud and John. John, he used to go by the name John because when he was a monk in England, building a monastery very near Brighton, he went by the name John. And running White Cloud also. Now these are ascended masters. My parents were that. So my father channeled them first of all. And then when my mum came out to live with me in Hong Kong, shy little thing, she turned up and I got her a job as an English teacher in Hong Kong. And she was so excited when she got the job. And it was total freedom. She was just like a beginning of a new life, a beginning of something utterly fantastic and amazing. You know, it was a whole new freedom. And I was seeing this girl called Flo, who's a crystal healer, and she put her crystals on my mum one day when she came back from work. She was exhausted, and It's just a little view. There's the Abbey. They take the holy water now that was pumped into all the people used to come from all over to bathe in the holy waters, and now they use that hot water. They say one person got sick, ignoring all the millions of people that have visited and got well. One person got sick and they banned it and said it's not good, it should just be used for the Catholic priests' radiators. yeah, it's like that. Hilarious. Anyway, these beings that my mum and my stepdad channel, they're not earthbound anymore. They channel from another place. I mean, I see them as in big spaceships. I call him White Coat because I believe he's in a massive spaceship that hides in the clouds. And I had to change my kind of whole spiritual understanding. Much respect and love, Dave. Nibiru is upon us, my friend. It is indeed, and it's not what you. This is, Nibiru is. Where am I going with this? Okay, so let me just turn around that way a little bit more, and then you've got the city in the background, and you can actually see me. And Shanti's happy; she's playing. So it says it's kind of indicating that I should just keep walking this way. I'm kind of feeling like I'm on the top of the world here. Anyway, these beings are non-Earth-based, if you like, in the sense that you and I are Earth-based in our physical beings. If you're non-reptilian, that is, guising as human. And they've all been removed now. Well, this is what this guy told me. He came round and he said, I love what you're doing. I love the fact you're a true speaker, and I want you to know that all your dreams have come true. That a massive force has now arrived on Earth and has removed the Queen. You're going to hear that the Queen is dead in a week, he said. I was just like, really? He said, you're going to hear the Queen has been removed in a week. He said that already they're calling back all of the £20 notes, all of the £50 notes, all of the non-Earth entities that are subverting this world, that are directly here, engaged in physicality in this realm, have been removed. Now it is a headless monster. Now it's a headless monster. And you see what's now even more peculiar is I listened to what he said and I had doubt. I'm still ruled by an enormous amount of doubt. And so when someone comes in and says something, that's why I always build models, and that's why I put, date set, as some people call it. Because unless you put your money where your mouth is, you're full of shit. You're just full of shit. Hindsight, cheap as chips. Cheap as chips. If you can turn around and say you're going to see a massive sighting like I just showed you, that Brandon Corey Nagley, where I said you're going to see this coming in, if you can put your money where your fucking mouth is, I've got time for you. I've got time for you. But if you're just there with your hindsight, I don't know what to do with that. It's so cheap to come in with hindsight. Date setter. All science is built on putting your money where your mouth is and making an assessment, a calculation, a prediction, whatever you want to call it. Putting your money where your mouth is, putting your neck on the line and stating what you've got to say based on the science that you've assembled. And if you're wrong, then you can be corrected and you can evolve that. But if you can't put your money where your mouth is, I ain't interested in what you've got to say. You can come on and say, yeah, he's a date setter. The only way we can evolve this is all of us put our money where our mouths are. And speak your truth. Have the courage to speak your truth. And this guy was all about courage and speaking truth. And he said to me, so anyway, so I listened to what he had to say, and I listened to the fact he said that enormous military has arrived on Earth and it can't change human karma. They're not here to change human karma. They're here to let you fully appreciate human karma. You can see what's happening. Well, before we go on to the Ukraine and what's really happening in the Ukraine and why this is all going on, let me just call my little Shanty's she's just playing down there. She's found some new friends. Happy as you like. She's being around. These are the good times. I'm not going to call her because she's having too much fun. Yeah, if you can't put your money anyway. So anyway, I listened to what he's got to say, and I loved his message. It filled me with this kind of sense that it's going to be all right. It's going to be all right, that this thing has to play out, but they cannot interfere with human karma. They're not here to interfere with human karma. They're just making sure that no one else, other than humanity, on this plane. Come on, Shanty! No! Shanty! Doggy. She's... Oi! Come here! It'll be a nice little mix. Oh, it's all right, my lovely. It's only natural. It's only natural. We should be the same way too. Come on in. We're just like, it's all right, my lovely. Can't see you. Oh no, it's all right. We're all the same. Naughty little rascal. It's circumstantial. Oh, you little tearaway. He was jumping on the back of her and causing all sorts of mischief. But just hold her for a few shakes. But yeah, she's just coming on heat now, I think, so she's getting a bit frisky, so I've got to keep an eye out. But so where am I going with that? You have to excuse me because I'm a little bit kind of like hello from AZ. Is that AZ? AZ is Arizona. Arizona! We got Arizona on here. I feel very honoured. You're all tuning in. So I'm at home and I get this call from a very dear, lovely lady whose name I won't mention. Very lovely lady. It reminds me a lot of my mum. And she calls me up and she says, Dave, I've had an accident and I don't know what to do. I said, what's happened? She said, it was really bad. And I said, well, you're still alive, my lovely. I said, are you completely intact? She says, I am intact. She goes, I'm very surprised I'm intact. She said, I've barely got a bruise on my body. I was like, what the bloody hell happened? And she said, well, I pulled into, and I won't say the name of the place, but she said, I pulled in to this big building with these massive black iron gates. And she said, I was only going to turn around. It's a big old building. And she said, I was only going to turn around. And she said, my wheel clipped the curb. And it was such a big curb that it caused my steering wheel to lock seriously to the right. And as it locked to the right, the car hit into the curb with a mighty great bang, and it shunted her forward so hard that it activated the airbag. And as it activated the airbag, in the shot of it, she tried to hit the brake. She got her foot somehow stuck between the throttle and the brake pedal. She ended up not braking but going full throttle with her foot somehow stuck under the brake pedal. She couldn't get it out. She charged the gates, smashed through the gates when it was lunchtime in this big regal kind of Victorian-esque building. Charged these gates, smashed these gates open, smashed the locks off with this little car that totaled the front end, but not nearly as much as what happened next, because then she couldn't get her foot out. She didn't know what was going on in the pandemonium. People crossing the stretch where inside the actual grounds of the building. She charged through, carried on going at full speed. Admittedly, she was only in her first gear, but you can imagine. She charged through and carried on through, went through the people, didn't hit anyone at all, charged straight through and hit the adjacent brick wall of the building where the vehicle came to a stop and totally totaled the car. And she said, oh, I don't know what to do. And I said, well, look, I said, let's just go and sort it all out. I said, are you insured? And she went, yeah, I'm fully insured. I was like, so we're covered there. I said, you've survived. You're all intact. We're covered there. I said, we're going to run you around. We're going to get you another car. We're going to go and sort it all out. We're going to go and get the car. We're going to sort it all out today. We're going to just go and sort it all out. We're going to call up. We're going to just sort it all out for you. I said, don't you worry about a thing. She was like, I don't want to call my daughter. She'll be terrified. She'll be so concerned. I said, you don't need to sort your daughter. You don't need to call your daughter. You don't need to worry anyone. We're just going to go and sort it all out. So we went down and we started sorting it all out. We went down, we got all our stuff out of the car and we called the insurance, and it was all a bit of a mess. And when I was driving down, after we looked at the car, I was so surprised at the whole thing. I said, you know, you're one of the loveliest old ladies I know. I said, and when something like this happens and you haven't got a mark on your body and something big like this happens, I feel like it's a message, not just for you, but for me, for everyone. This is a symbolic. I said, because right now what's happening is, it's beyond belief, but the ego consciousness is arriving to those who tally with their ego into humanity right now. That's why this whole process has been allowed to occur, is because of the souls that were ghosted eons ago on another planet, not so far from Earth, in a massive story, just like what's happening on Earth, where they took their planet to a place of utter unsustainability. And they drove their planet into the dirt in the name of greed and aggression and power and all the things that subvert Earth. They did that. And the same gods that drove them into doing that are the same gods that are driving all of this now, because of their agenda and the controls that they need to fulfill their agendas. Said that they're going to come in now, but as soon as they come in, they're going to, it's like they're barging on into this world using all their technology and all their vibration lowering techniques. But I said they're going to hit a brick wall. As soon as they enter, they're going to hit a brick wall. And when I got this message, I said, I think they're entering, I think they're coming in. I said, I think this is a message. And I think they're going to be countered in lots of different ways. You remember when we arrive on this planet, we have no memory of where we were before. We are an uncut jewel. We come in completely fresh and we start over and we recreate ourselves anew. And what we create on the highest vibration is what we build. That's where we really build our castles in the sky. That's why we come here, to build new realms, new wonders. And she said, I wonder what it means. He said, I wonder if that's what it means. I said, very possibly. I said, I feel like it's a message. And then her phone went, ding! And she looked at it, and she went, oh, it's my friend from Australia. And she opened it, and she said, oh, the Queen's dead. Da-na-na-na. I was like, holy macaroni. It's like, the pound's about to go down. The pound's about to crash. This is happening. This is the end of fiat-based currencies. This is the absolute end. You can see, if I come now back to kind of like, you know, why we see Neptune exactly directly opposite Jupiter. Why are we seeing all of the array of planets all on this side of the solar system? Why is Neptune exactly opposite Jupiter right now? Why are they all in this same space? Why do they? Do you really believe satellites just flew straight through the asteroid belt to get all the shots you've been given of all these planets? Do you really believe anything you've been told of this grand deception? What a situation we're in. What a situation we're in right now as we watch fear-based currencies die now, right before our eyes. It is absolutely their end. You can see what's happening for me, Zelensky is Putin's man. That's why I think that all the tanks and everything have Z written on them. Or Z, whatever you want to call it. Can you imagine, for every one of those cheap tanks, Russia used to produce jet engine tanks, like all the high tech that the West is now pumping into, NATO countries are pumping into Ukraine in the name of getting it all back when they win their massive war. But Russia, what's Russia sending in? It's sending in equivalent to World War II tanks, old diesel engine tanks. They used to use the Russian ones, but they're not really fussed about that. They're just putting personnel, they're sending tanks in because they know the West is going to meet them with the highest tech. Yeah, one of their tanks can't get within a couple of miles of a Western tank, as in like something like a Challenger or something like that can destroy anything within 6 miles of it, with all super high tech. But absolutely unbelievable cost. Every tank's got to have a jet engineer. Every tank's got to have the highest tech. Electronics experts, navigation experts, everything is high tech. The training that's involved in all of this tech is all high end. It's costing billions and billions. And Russia's just sending out these old World War II equivalent tanks with very limited technology. They're draining all the money, all the fear-based money out of Britain and America. It's all dollars and absolutely no sense. And as they do this, and as they drain all the money out of the West, and we watch our currencies, what they're going to do is they're going to crash the currencies. They're going to blame Putin, or how the haters of Putin call him Putin, as in puke. It's all saber rattling to get you to hate and to lower your vibration and get you to enter into this energy crisis deception, like you're in a planetary deception, like you're in an environmental deception. These are all massive deceptions pushed on you by the big fossil fuel companies to try and drive you and make you believe you're utterly dependent on natural gas and all of these different types of fuels. So you'll actually send your kids off to die in this depleted uranium, absolute raining down shells of the most toxic form. You see, when I talk about Dick Gregory, the guy that I believe on the 6th of November, the black guy who won, a black comedian, not a white comedian like Zelensky, a black comedian who won president-elect in 1968 on the 6th of November. You remember, on the 7th of November, the New York Times ran the story that some computer systems can't be trusted. This was back in 1968. They had computer systems tabulating and counting the elections back then. And the New York Times ran the story that some computer systems can't be trusted, like the ones that tabulated the results and found Dick Gregory, a black comedian, winner by 6 million votes. And of course they said the computer system can't be trusted, and so they've taken this black guy's votes and they've given them to Richard Nixon. They've given 6 million votes to Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon immediately realised that this, with all his white compatriots saying that no way would the American people vote for a black comedian. They would only vote for a white fascist supremacist, who then snipped the gold standard. He was the one who snipped the gold standard. He was the one who turned it into fiat-based currency. He was the one who took value off the table. Little white boys club. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the table. He was the one who took value off the made America a permanent war-based country, that it had to be war because it wasn't willing to negotiate or pay with real value money anymore. It was just going to have a gun under the table. Gold was replaced with depleted uranium and plutonium. That's what we put on the table, under the table should I say. The guns under the table, the toxic guns under the table. And the West has had to live in a permanent state of war ever since then, because there's no value on the table. So you just have to kill anyone and everyone who's not willing to play your game of Monopoly. And now Russia is just, for every one tank that they send in, the West is just spending billions and billions, or the West is spending billions in the hope that Ukraine's going to win, and they're going to coin it all back with natural gas. And obviously it's the main market garden area of Europe. Remember that London, Heathrow, was the main market garden area of London before Heathrow came. So they built over the main food source and moved that out to further afield, like places like Ukraine. So it's vitally important that they take Ukraine. Shanty! So it's vitally important for them that they take Ukraine, because that's where all our food comes from. Well, that's a big part of where our food comes from. And you can imagine when I wrote a book and I said that this journey about a middle class twat that I was really, that had this horrible vision of seeing Britain used as a Trojan horse to break up the European alliance and feed us into a war. I wrote this, I published this in 2011, to feed us into war against Russia, to feed Europe into a war against Russia, just to save the US dollar. Literally. That's literally what the whole quest of Laughing Gas is. The book I wrote, Laughing Gas, is a quest to find out why this had to happen, why I had to see this happen. The heartbreaking sadness of seeing myself being destroyed by the massive tsunami that comes when my country makes the wrong decision of trying to break up the European Union just to save the US dollar. Just to save the US dollar, just to save a fiat-based money system that is absolute robbery on every level. It's just a gun under the table. It's just savage theft and robbery of all the world's assets with a Ponzi scheme. That has no real value other than the brutal force of the white supremacists who run it. Literally. And that has to come to an end now. And so Putin is facilitating the karma for the drastic measures. You notice that so much of the world is going back to gold-backed currencies now. They're all ditching the bogus dollar. And yeah, NATO's coming forward. NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organisations, and the reptilian orders that are ruling over us right now, they're all being removed now. Now it's just being left with the humans and the peas that I can't even say, but you know what I mean when I say peas, that run the agenda, that feed off our seas. And if you don't know what I mean, and you don't know really what Q, as in not Q and on, but Q who just passed away, really was, and what she fed on, her agenda fed on. Suffering. And we chose it. We chose to be part of that. We said, we don't want nothing to do with Europe. Europe disgusts us. We don't want nothing to do with it. We're going to wash our hands and kick our dinner plates clean out the door to facilitate this war, because we're going to get loads of money out of dumping depleted uranium all over Ukraine, which is ironically where the uranium comes from. Can't make it up, can you? Can't make it They've lost their leaders. They've lost the real power that drive them. Now they're on their own. Now they've got to work out what to do, and they know their currency's over and done with. And so they're going to fight, and they're going to do the most nastiest things, but that's going to create a massive famine. They are creating the collapse of their own currency that they've controlled. And because they've lost all sense of decency, it's all just about power and control. And this takes them to the bottom of the lake. And you remember that we can think that we can be loyal to the reptilian orders, but they wouldn't do this to each other. They wouldn't do any of the stuff that we're doing on this plane. Yeah, they pay the nastiest fuckers to do the nastiest shit on this earth, but they are not their brethren. They are on their own. They are on their own in this now. Shanty! Shanty! Completely on their own in their warring agendas and what they're choosing to bring about. They're utterly on their own. They're going to, and try and instill us with these ideas that we need to hate Russia, we need to hate all these people, that it's hate, evil Putin, evil Putin, evil Putin, evil Putin. How much depleted uranium did we dump on Iraq? How much depleted uranium did we dump on Libya? How much depleted uranium did we dump on Afghanistan? How much depleted uranium, all this nuclear energy that we gather, that we need to build nuclear power stations on these fault lines like Fukushima, Hinkley Point. Remember that Chernobyl also on the 26th of April 1986 went bang on the day of a massive earthquake on that same fault line. And we build these nuclear power stations on these tsunami hotspots like Hinkley Point, the biggest tsunami hotspot in Western Europe. Build a fucking nuclear power station right down the road. Right on it. Like right on it. Like not even like a little bit close, like right on it. In the name of stopping the carbon dioxide. You see when Etna goes bang and it chucks out 80 million tons of fucking carbon dioxide in a single eruption. Super high, yeah, it's a big one, but it chucks out that much. That's magma coming out of the ground, red hot magma going up and not coming back down. Back. So here we go, guys. We've got fascists at the helm of my country. And they've just lost what they thought was their illustrious leaders. And they don't know what to do. And they're in a situation now where they're pumping all this money into this war. And Putin has got them all round his little finger. And it could be that Putin is part of the, the World Economic Forum. Is it the World Economic World Economic Forum? It could be he's part of, Satan Klaus and Kill Bill and all the rest of it. He could be in the same club as they are as well. He really could be. It's not inconceivable. I don't truly know what's happening there. I just know that we live in a fabricated energy crisis, and we have been for a long time, and the stories that are unfolding now leave a very different story. We're starting to see a very different history line than the one that we've been told on every way, shape and form. And dumping, depleted, all the content of, anyone who builds nuclear power stations around the world generally has to have licenses to build them with America, Britain, France, who control all this stuff. And one of these contracts is that we take the depleted uranium and we deal with it responsibly. And the way we responsibly deal with depleted uranium is dumping it on the enemies of the vanquished. That's what we do. That's our karma. That's Britain's karma. And this technological front that we call depleted uranium, that we're That's what we call technology. That's what we call a technological edge. I call it utter fascist shenanigans. Absolute supremacy, utterly, phenomenally, toxically stupid level. Rude, evil, disgusting behaviour. Disgusting behaviour. And all these soldiers and all these families that get killed and get dragged off, what happens to their kids? Who gets them? She's gone now. She's gone. It's gone, should I say. There's a change happening now, folks. And all your dreams are coming true. And you may or may not be part of the new world that emerges from this. You may or may not be part of the world that emerges after this. You may not be fit for it. You may, in the eyes of the gods, be deemed that really you should have nothing to do with it. If you have been in bed with this agenda, and you are of this agenda. And if you're not of this agenda, you need to make that really, really clear now. You need to Humpty Dumpty. Fourscore men. I don't know if you got that little bit, because I just suddenly saw my camera, just my phone, just redoing its. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Fourscore men and fourscore more could not place Humpty where he was before. Now that's the original words of the little nursery rhyme. It wasn't a nursery rhyme. It was a message to the people of England in the days of Charles I and Oliver Cromwell. You either join the Cavaliers or you join the Roundheads. But if you sit in the middle, yeah, we can say it's a story about the cannon that fell off the wall, but everything is metaphoric in this world, one way or another. And this was a message saying you're on one side or the other, but you just sit on the fence and you're on neither. Yeah, nothing to no one. Nothing to no one. Nothing to no one. Nothing to the gods, you're a fucking coward. Nothing to your enemies around you, you're a fucking coward. Nothing to yourself, you're just a fucking coward. Won't take a stand, haven't got a voice, haven't got anything, just sit back, take your little and fuck off. Fuck off. What the fuck are you doing here? If you don't fucking care about this world, if you're going to watch these type of atrocities going on, you just fucking intellectualise it. Oh, well, it's complex, it's very complicated. It's very much more complicated than it actually. So what you understand is nuclear is so important, David. It's really, you really got to understand. We've got to build these nuclear power stations on these fault lines because it's so important, really, and that's what we do best. We can't have abundant clean energy. I know it rains down on the forming sunlight, but really, it's way more complicated than you understand, David. And you know, it is a lot safer than you're really giving it credit. I know a lot of people are dying of cancers and such alike, and we've got to sweep that under the carpet with the depleted uranium that we rain down on our foes, because really they're not really humans. If they don't love our pounds and our dollars, are they even decent human beings? We intellectualize it with our nonsense and our shit and our crap. We justify it, and all of us are deciding which side of the fence we're really on in this now. And the fuck? It's I know where I go. I've through my process of being on this earth, I've managed to charter my place back to where I was before here. I arrived on earth from the 5th, and I know that sounds a bit up my own arse and everything else like that. I had to go through my process of discovering that and coming back to the place where I was, and going through the rebirth and coming back to where I was and seeing where I'm going and tapping into that and seeing what it is. And when I talk about the 5th, I'm talking about the communal realm that we're all building with all of our efforts here on a higher plane, not just our individual earthbound astral realms that are very base, and they're very primitive, our earthbound astral realms. They're our own individual realms. They're for those who aren't evolved enough to work with other people, So we all have our earthbound astral realms, and we come and go from those earthbound astral realms. But our very best of what we create on the highest vibration, you'll know what it's like to bounce into the 5th. You're suddenly going along in your normal life, your normal mundane life, where you just think you want a big car and a big cock and big tits and big whatever, and whatever you fucking need to make yourself feel like you're some kind of superior cunt to everyone else. And then suddenly you fall in love with someone beautiful, and your heart fills with absolute joy and magnificent, and you connect to a higher space, and everything is irrelevant. All of that material shit, or how big your cock is, or whatever else, all just disappears into insignificance, to this overwhelming feeling of being connected to something bigger, something fantastic, something that resonates in every cell in your body. And when you connect with it, it's a glorious moment, and you connect to the 5th, and you want to stay in the 5th. And of course, a big part of staying in the 5th is being in love. That's how we relate to being in the 5th, most of us. Until we start connecting to God, or whatever our divine purpose is on this earth, and then we start opening that up on a much higher spiritual level. Come here, Shanti, come here. Come, sit. Oh yeah, our little lover's just come back. Talk about love. Doggy's just seen love. And it could be a puppy. Love. And when you connect through divine purposes, it's as soon as you try in a relationship, try and control, and you all shut down and stop being sexual beings when you're in love, and you join with someone, and you come into that kind of, and then you suddenly become a Catholic lover, as in these kind of love affairs where we kind of like sacrifice our rights to be sexual beings, our right to be loving beings on a higher level whilst we're in relationships. Can't be open, can't be a bit more kind of like shut ourselves down, and then we try and control the other, and then we stop being these loving beings, and we sacrifice that to being these kind of like these Catholic relationships, these ideals of what it is to be Catholic, as in marriage, as in you surrender your, we call this love, because we stop being happy, and then suddenly what do we want? We want another big cock, big car, big blah blah blah. It's just got to be, get a 4x4 again, because we stop loving. We're in control, we're in a relationship where we surrender ourselves, we surrender that higher being, and we go into these kind of like Catholic relationships. We go to fucking priests and get them to do it to us.
Your higher property is your property until you die, little fucker.
Just like, and then we just get really unhappy, and then we just want big cars and big houses, big tits. Shanti, come here. Shanti, come here. Come on. And it just goes down that same avenue, and we just become total arseholes again.
Well, it's complicated, isn't it? It's complicated. War's such a complicated thing. I wish I understood it. Well, David.
These kind of like, anyway, this is
who you are. To chart my journey through this and see the most painful things happening to this world in the name of the type of shit that we have to hear every day, the massive narrative of lies. But announcing, oh, there's another star, I'm going to call it Nemesis. I think it's a well, it must be. Because you have to understand that the agenda, the astronomical agenda that runs the lie, most of them, the people, the normal people that aren't on the normal people that aren't in this grand deception have to watch this and just think, that is a bit weird. Every 84 years we invent a dwarf planet. That's very odd. Big blue one. All this grand deception to keep you in place so you might be intellectualise it, go to college, get a fucking degree. I wouldn't wipe my ass with. You have to live a lie. Horrible lies as we watch this. And excuse me speaking my mind here. I did click this, not made for kids. And I just think we need a bit of blatant truth at the moment, because we're going into this, and unless you see the true direction that you're all heading right now, and the suffering that we are bringing on for ourselves right now by backing these agendas. Can you pull over? Back down the hill now. Coming back, and then we're going to go down to the canal, and I'm going to let Doggy jump in the water. We've got a splash. Maybe you want to come down and stay with me for that little walk. If my phone lasts that long, the power might go soon. It's not brilliant phone, but it's not too bad either, although I've just cracked the screen again, which is a bit annoying. And I've only just replaced it or repaired it about a couple of months ago. But the reptilian orders they are terrified by this. They are terrified by this. They know that the planetic system is karma, pure karma. What we can't settle, it will settle for us. It balances the equation. When you see the big kind of like the big woman holding the scales, the statue of the woman holding the scales, which defines law, that is Planet X. What we can't sort out ourselves karmically, it settles for us. And many of us can't look at truth. We just run our little narratives and our little stories. Well, carbon dioxide, David, it's really evil. It's just really evil. You've just got to deal with it. You really shouldn't stop. You really shouldn't be breathing that stuff in, you know. Absolutely, utterly evil. And you know, I had a friend come around recently, and he talked to me about, you know, and I sometimes talk about, you know, I'm fascinated by the Krebs cycle. Have you ever heard of the Krebs cycle? You know, the Krebs cycle is kind of like when you talk about photosynthesis, and you're talking about how a plant kind of manufactures glucose, which then it turns into, I think it's glycogen, and then turns into glycogen, and then turns into adenine triphosphate. I know there comes some big words there, and I might have got those a little bit out of order. But you know, we're talking about the fundamental. We're talking about adenine ADT, adenine triphosphate, as the fundamental energy currency of all living things.
Really? Come here,
Shanti. Come on. We're talking about the energy currency of all living things, and of course, when something breathes in oxygen, you know, respiration isn't occurring in the chest, in the lungs. It's occurring in the cell. It's intracellular respiration is taking oxygen into the cells to, and then using this as a process. You know, it's creating. You know, Krebs cycle is about electron transfer. And, I could go really deep into this because I'm absolutely fascinated by what happens in what's called the mitochondria in a cell, and the process of breaking down glucose into adenine triphosphate. And like I say, plants do the same thing. They break down glucose and turn it into adenine triphosphate, the fundamental energy currency, which enables this process. And there's lots and lots of different ideas of what happens in this process. Plants breathe in carbon dioxide and do it the reverse way around, and then breathe out oxygen. But they're still manufacturing, ultimately, the fundamental energy currency, which is adenine triphosphate, that we're all using. So what happens in, and we're talking about, when we're talking about, when we talk about kind of like the power of in the cell, the power of the body, we understand that we kind of break it down into two factors, don't we? We understand there's aerobic respiration occurring within the cell and anaerobic respiration, which is also occurring in the cell, but it's a form where it's not requiring oxygen to manufacture the adenine triphosphate. It's doing another process. It's doing oh bless you, my lovely. It's doing another process to manufacture the energy. And so we have to sort of think, well, what is that process? Are we breathing in carbon dioxide? When we talk about a compost system, I talk about, where you are separating all of the air and you haven't got an aerobic process going on. You've got an anaerobic process going on. Is it breathing carbon dioxide, or what is it using to generate that initial process? Well, it turns out that when you see lots of the algae and lots of the kind of like you find this life at the bottom of these deep oceans where you get these really, really hot temperatures because of
except when we walk behind.
because of seismology happening at the bottom of the oceans. Now, remember I talk about what makes a volcano go bang compared to like when you get a volcano or a seamount under the ocean. It doesn't go bang in the same way. You get these fault lines that open up, they bubble away, but they don't explode out. The reason they don't explode out is there's no pressure. If there's no pressure, a volcano is close to the surface, water seeps in, there's no pressure, the water splits into hydrogen and oxygen. And like when Fukushima went bang, because the water got near the kind of like, got into the kind of like, into the fission process, and the water exploded. And there was no pressure. So it could just explode. And all the carbon gets kind of like everything, all the minerals, everything down there suddenly combusts. It all just goes bang. It's got the heat, it's got the fuel, and it's suddenly got the oxygen because of the division of the hydrogen and oxygen in the water. And when you're deep under ocean and these same things happen, there's too much pressure. The hydrogen and the oxygen in the water separates, but it can't explode. It can't recombine and cause this massive kind of fusion process where it goes back into all this massive. It is a fission process where it breaks, it splits into hydrogen and oxygen, and then recombines in this massive bang. The oxygen consumes, obviously ignites everything, and you get a massive eruption, and suddenly magma shoots out sometimes 7 or 8 miles up into the sky because of the water exploding. Shanti, come here. Come here, Shanti. We're going to cross the road here. Here, Shanti. Shanti. Shanti! Come here. Shanti, come here. She loves little kids. Sorry about that. Come here, Shanti. Come here. Come here. Sit. Sit. So, where I'm going with this is we're just coming back to this kind of understanding of energy and the different types of cycles. Now, so what happens under the deep ocean is that when the hydrogen and the oxygen split in water because of the intense heat of fault lines and such light under the ocean and the magma coming out, the water seeps in, it could explode, but the pressure, the water separates in terms of it splits, the hydrogen and the oxygen split, but it can't recombine because there's too much pressure acting down on it. So what happens is the oxygen starts bonding with other things instead of the hydrogen. It goes the next thing's on the periodic table. Here we are, look, we're just down. Let me show you where we are. We're coming down to the canal here. Again, there's a little boat company down there. And so we're going to walk back down to the canal and let Doggy sit. So where am I going with this? So then we got all this hydrogen. The oxygen is recombining. We get all this life that develops. There's no light, hardly any light. There's very little light down there, and yet we get life forms down there. So what are they breathing? There's no carbon dioxide. Come on. And so if I told you that it's living off hydrogen, it's living off hydrogen, that the life forms at that depth is living off the hydrogen, which it's then converting into methane. It's not living on carbon dioxide, it's not living on oxygen, it's living on hydrogen. The oxygen is recombining into rock substrates. As in, we can see that we know that when carbon dioxide enters the water, it separates two carbonic acid molecules, which has got 3 atoms of oxygen in each molecule. So it goes from one water molecule has 1 atom of oxygen, one carbonated water molecule has 3 atoms of oxygen. Sorry about that. Sorry about driving off. Sending poor people off the highway there. Sorry about that. Come on in. Doggy's in the water. Come on in. Come on. You can do it. Come on. Good girl. Do one last little jump. Come on, let's throw her a stick. On here. She can do a proper jump. Then she's going to be happy. Hold on. There's a bit of a stick. Here she goes. Here she goes. Sit. 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 Come on. Oh. He's a happy doggy. He's a good girl. Where's he? You got my stick. He's a good girl. She's a good girl. Come on. Come on. Good girl. Happy doggy. Well, I've got a really bad elbow at the moment. I don't know what I've done. Sorry, lovely. So, okay. So you can understand that when we're talking about, we can manufacture very easily, at really relatively low cost, massive amounts of hydrogen, but we can't store it. Can you see the nature of some of the solutions that we could have if we decided to utilize that hydrogen in a different way and feed it into different processes where we could then turn it into methane for storage and abundant use. Sun comes down, we can do this whole process on a massive level. We can create solar cells that work on a different level, on an organic level, and pump out all the things that we need. But instead, we're obsessed with nuclear. Come here, Shanti. Here, come here. I'm walking into a lovely park. I'm going to show you this lovely park at the back of Bath here. And this is where I take the doggy every day. We jump in the water. Come here, Shanti. Come here. Come here. Come here. Shanty! 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 Shanty, come here! Shanty! So, sit. Sit. Come on. I'm going to take you across and I'm going to take you into the most divine park that she also loves. There's some tennis courts in here. She's going to watch she's going to try and get in and get the tennis balls from the tennis players if they're playing. It's a bit windy and but actually the weather's lovely. Even though it's a bit, oh, I'm a bit exhausted. Shanty, slow down, heel. Heel. Sit. 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 Stay. Go on in. See, now she's going to hopefully go over there. Well, not, she won't be able to get in. Oh, look, there's squirrels. It's through these winding canals and that sort of stuff. Check this out. I'm going to come through here. It's like a secret garden out here. Look at this! You see that? We're going to come round and we're going to check out this rather lovely enchanted garden. But there's some very big forces on this earth right now that want us to realise that we are abundant in a myriad of different energy sources, that we don't need to dump depleted uranium or hate anyone to get our depleted uranium and our nuclear obsession. The fascists, the peas that run this world, that feed off our seas and run this evil agenda so they can control those human beings that give themselves over for the control of this evil agenda, just so they can have their way and bring in their own. And those that are coming in, they will come in now. Don't get me wrong, they will come in now. It's going to be the arrival of some, a lot of people are going to really drastically change now. They really are. And they can only take those that have given themselves. They cannot take, they can run a story, and if you want to go with their story, and they want to go with the fear of their story, then you go with the fear of their story. You just fuck off with the fear of their story. But if you want to stand in your sovereignty, you want to walk, talk your truth, you also can. Now, more than ever. Yeah, they're going to try everything they can to shut down all these different kind of like media outlets and set their piece to try and control every aspect of all these things. But their day is done. They have no friends. They're all clubbed together in their little groups, but they've lost their elites now. They've lost their elites. Their elites are running more scared than anyone else. And the whole thing's winding down now. And the only way out of this is decency. The only way out of this is decency now. To walk away from the guns for every tank that we send into the Ukraine is another town in this country that will starve to death, literally. This is absolute famine that we are creating for ourselves, literally, by our choices, silent, cowardly consent to allow this to go on. And for you fence sitters out there, do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. I'm struggling so much just to kind of like keep the wolf from the door myself and just do the things. I've kind of like, when my mum left me that money, she was just like, sweetheart, you've got to put that money into all the things that you want in your life, because you're never going to have the opportunity of getting that again. If you want boats, and you go out and you buy those boats and you just do it. You don't know how you're going to fund it all and do it all, but you've got to be living your dream right now, sweetheart. You've got to be living your dream. You cannot be wanting to live your dream. You cannot be wanting to live your dream A lot of you, all the constraints, all the things that you've lived by are all falling out the windows now. You have to go after your dreams now. If you were talking about setting something up, you should be doing it. You should be doing it. There's no want anymore. Want belongs to Satan. Want belongs to wankers. Come on, Shanti. Shanti! You gotta be on your path. And if you're not on your path, then go fuck yourself. Seriously, go fuck yourself. What the fuck are you doing here? It's time to be part of the solution in all of this. It's time to be part of the solution. You've got so much help there waiting for you if you can initiate it within your own self. If you can't, fuck off. Go and get your 6th or 7th or 8th, whatever it is, that I can't say on this. Go and bless those who dump depleted uranium on any country that doesn't want to engage in Mickey Mouse money. Go and drop some flowers on the grave of the biggest depleted uranium dumper on the planet. Wonder how Charlie will fare. The problem is, for all his good intentions and that sort of stuff, he's got some... We don't even know what he is, but he's got some baggage undealt with. A blight on the landscape. It stands between him and his everything. Biden can't string a sentence together. Doesn't know what the fuck's going on, doesn't know where he is. Terrifying situation we're all in one sense. In another sense, it's everything you've ever dreamed of. There's so much potential to help you now if you are willing to initiate it. And maybe you can't do that. Maybe you can do that. But anyway, I've said enough. Stirred it up a little bit. Coming through. This is where we're going. We're going down now, down through the canal. Off you, my lovely. Here we are. We're walking down. I'm going to take you down the tunnel. If I can walk down that tunnel, I can't remember if I can walk down it. There you go. You get a bit of a bird's eye view. We might lose signal as we go into here, so I might meet you on the other side. But you'll definitely get this kind of like, look at that. It's such an enchanted little way, isn't it? This is some of the... I think the reason I love the canals and the rivers is it reminds me of that whole kind of Tartaria kind of story and the whole kind of... an age that we don't really know much about before the grand deception started, that has built over the top of all that once existed. Oh, look what I just found. Diddly 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 diddly. Little stick. We're going to go through there and we can chuck stick into the water and let Doggy have a last swim, and then I think probably I'm gonna shut the fuck up and this is where we're going. She knows where the waterway is. She's looking for it. She's like, I know there's water there. She can smell it out a mile off. We might lose signal, like I say, in this tunnel. But it's funny! It's a funny old noise, isn't it? I look straight in. You missed that. Here we go. Shanti, come here. Come here. Shanti! Come here. Shanti, look. Oh, we got guests. Say hello! Hi! Where's she gone? Shanti! come here. Shanti, come here. Shanti. Shanti, come on. Where are you? Come on. Where's she? Here you go. Ready? Get it. There she goes. Look at that. Happy doggy. Come on. Come on. That's one happy doggy. What's a perfect day? Feels like a perfect day. Feels like it's clearing. So sorry for all that's happened for all those in America that have just experienced this massive storm. Oh look, we got another golden retriever, a little bit whiter. Look at that. Who's that?
He's jealous of the swim. George wants to get wet.
Does George like the water? Of course, she's a golden retriever. She loves the water.
You can see, I know, he loves it, but it's too dirty.
Don't touch up this. It's all go, innit? It's all go. Come on in. So lovely chatting with you guys. So sorry I used a few, what do you call them? Expletives, or whatever you call them. But it's how I feel today at the moment. I'm just like, I've not been making that many videos because it's just like, you know, you're just watching it going on. I couldn't believe it's all unfolding right now, and I'm seeing the pound crashing, and I know that they are going to crash the pound because a hungry man is an angry man, and they're going to try and use this to their advantage. And that's what I saw, that's why I wrote Laughing Gas. They're going to lead us into a massive war, feed Europe into a massive war, break up all the alliances, and do their special thing so they can have their war. And we've got to realise that there's something higher in all this, that we don't have to do this anymore. Whoa, look at that, cool skateboard! Look at all the lovely boats down here, it's so lovely, isn't it? I love living on boats, I've got to say, it's a funny old thing. Look at that, happy doggy. Oh, happy days. Yeah, we should do this more often, have our little chats on the water. I can see why kind of like, I just call him the Dollar Vigilante actually, just I won't say his first name because it doesn't really matter really, it's just like, but I love being, I watch him on BitChute and I love his little narratives, and I love his truth, and we all had to watch this and we're all having to give each other permissions to speak our truth, and some of us are going to go under the wheels of that, and that could be me as well, you know. You know, I see in my visions that I get taken. I've been shown that. And that I must pay my price for this. And it's okay. But no one here gets out alive. No one here gets out alive. And many of you are going to die of the most horrible cancers, you know that, because of the choices that we've all made, allowing this agenda to be what it is, and so we've agreed. Many of you who are chosen to give yourselves to your ego, well, the contract is that those who do what's called a Passover, and you give yourself over to your ego inherits your karma. That's quite an attractive proposition, isn't it? Because, you know, if you're a believer, as in the believers will be leaving, if you're a believer or a non-believer, whichever side you're on, and you're ruled by doubts and your beliefs and whatever else, and you go with their agenda, if they take your body for the ego agenda, well, you can give your body. There's no taking it, there's only giving. There's only sacrificing, self-sacrifice, by giving yourself to these horrible stories. Like carbon dioxide is evil. You need to build power stations and fault lines and go and buy a brand new car, or even better, go and buy a Tesla. Even one of the batteries costs more than the car when consuming its entire lifetime to manufacture. And then you've got to charge the fucking thing on fucking nuclear and coal and all the things you hate, all in the name of saving the planet. All lies, all deception, just surrounded. The white man has created, these white supremacists who run this world have created hell on earth in the name of profit. Taken our best, the people I thought were the coolest, the environmentalists I thought were the coolest, turned out to be the biggest cunts of them all. was the biggest cunt. That's why I wrote laughing gas. Turning the finger at myself first. Realising that we're just a bunch of twats believing total bullshit because we thought we were so special. And when the information finally came in and we realised the state of it, you saw the real state of it, because everyone just went quiet. Even when Brexit happened, you remember all the people, Brexit, we want Brexit, and then suddenly the side that they say, remember, Europe wants us to be part of the free trade deals, and so we've got to break away from Europe. And then Boris openly says, well, that's where we're going, you're all going to free trade deals, you all get carved up, everything gets sold off, you're finished. No one says a thing. The Brexiteers, nothing. Not a dicky butt. Nothing. And so you know that what drove them was the ego agenda. Because when the truth came out, they had absolutely nothing to say. Nothing. So we see the nature of so many of the people we think are cool are just driven because they just want a big car, big cock, big house, big tits, same as everyone else. The Tories are nasty. We're green and lovely. Be on our side. We're not cunts. And then they turn out to be the biggest bunch of cunts as well. Left and right, you know, you've got to turn 180 degrees and right becomes left. But a cunt is a cunt. A twat is a twat. A dick is a dick. And until we can choose to evolve that, we ain't going nowhere. And we've got to do better. We've got to come out of these stupid stories that we've been fed into and take it to a higher level. But a hunger and a famine is rolling in, and it will either bring us together, or they're going to say to you, Putin done it, or sorry, Pukin done it. And you all got to kind of kneel down to the depleted uranium and accept all out nuclear heck. You deserved it because you're a white supremacist cunt who'd vote for such a thing, or not. And we just get divided and fed into the wars and the narratives that have ruled this world for the last umpteen thousand years. Well, we evolved that now. Go somewhere new, somewhere exciting, somewhere fantastic. Go into abundant clean energy. We get rid of the carbon zero bullshit and we say we don't want any of that shit. All we want is one thing. We want peace. Well, two things. Peace and abundant clean energy. That's what we want on our temple. Abundant, clean energy. That would solve all of our problems, wouldn't it? Is it so complicated to want that? Is it so complicated? Is it so like, oh well, I really just don't understand the importance of depleted uranium bombshells dumped on niggers and Africa and anyone who's slightly Muslim. It's so important, Dave, because basically if you're not white, you've got to die, basically. And if you're not white and you don't love depleted uranium, Dave, you've got a real serious problem. You really don't understand it, and really, Dave, you know, brain cell. Because if you're not loving hate and war, you're not a proper white supremacist, and you need to be a little bit woke. Love you, lovely people. Sorry I'm a little bit angry at the moment. I am angry, as you can hear. I'm just seeing it all going on, and I just know it's going down, and I can see everything that I saw in laughing gas is unfolding. But I'm also a little bit detached from it as well, and I'm seeing it and I'm realising I have spoken my truth. I've done everything in my power to bring awareness. I've written books, I've made films, I've run marches, I've done everything in my power to bring awareness to this. And I've gone under the wheels of it in so many ways myself. But I know that I've also been massively protected. I know when I made the first video and they tried to blow up my truck and burn the house down that I was in, I carried on. I was like, no, I'm not going to live in fear. I'm not going to live in fear. Fuck those who live in fear. You want to live in fear? You're scared to speak your truth out? Fuck off. Fuck off. Desubscribe from my channel if you ain't got any fucking balls to fucking speak any truth. Dave, the date setter. Cunt. Take care, lovely people. All the love in the world. And yeah, honey in the heart. 1,000 thank yous.
Boy.